Hi, my name is Dr. Raja Adnan Ahmed and I am a psychiatrist. I work in UK. This video is specifically for the CREST form and I'm making this to help the international medical graduates because I get a lot of questions about the CREST form. People ask me that what is CREST form? When should we get it signed? Who can sign it? And what are the different criteria? What are the different options on the CREST form and how to actually achieve those competencies? Now I'm going to use the example of the CREST 2024, which is the latest form. I'm making this video in August of 2023. A new CREST form has been uploaded on the training recruitment website, which is the CREST 2024. And I'll show you the form and the different domains this form is requiring for international medical graduates to complete. Now, this video, I will include some of the questions, some of the problems which people have encountered in the past. I myself, I work as a consultant in UK, and I have personally signed a few CREST forms. And so the first question, what is a CREST form? So CREST stands for Certificate of Readiness to Enter Specialty Training. Now, this is a complex term. So let me explain this in very simple words. When in UK, you're applying for a training job, which is at ST1 level or CT1 level, you would require to fill this form if you have not done foundation training program or foundation FY2 standalone training within the UK. So this is a very simple concept to understand that when the UK British graduate, they graduate from the university with their medical qualification, they go and do what we call the foundation training, which is equivalent to internship or house job in UK. So if you are coming from abroad and you have got your GMC registration and you've done your internship back home or you have more experience back home following that, you will get the full GMC registration, which means that you can work on a non-training post in UK. But then to prove that you are competent at the level of a foundation doctor, you need to have this form, which will enable you to apply for a training post, which may be like, for example, GP training, core psychiatry training, core surgical training, IMT, ST1 training in option any training which starts from the ST1 level or CT1 level. Now, some trainees will actually not apply for CT1 or ST1 level because they are higher trainees. They would have completed, for example, MRCP from their back home. If they are a psychiatry trainee, they may have completed MRC Psych from back home. And then there's, for them, this CREST form is not relevant because if they're applying for a ST training, like for example, if they're applying for ST3 or ST4 level training, then they actually don't need the CREST form. They will need some other form, which is called the equivalence of that core training. So in psychiatry, we call it certificate C. In IMT, this is called something else. In surgical training, this is called something else. But just to clarify, the CREST form is required for CT1 and ST1 level, not for the higher level. If you're applying or aiming to apply for higher level training after you have done your Royal College exams, then there would be a different process, there would be different forms. So CREST is only for the CT1 and ST1 level. Now, another important question people ask is about the version of the CREST form. So the CREST forms or the foundation competency equivalence form, whatever you call it, in the past has been around when I was a trainee. Now, I started my training back in 2008, 2007, 8. Around that time, we had a similar kind of form which we have to get signed to get applied for training. So this form has been around for a long time. Now it is called CREST, and there are different versions of it as well. So the previous version was 2021 version, which was acceptable, applicable up until 2023. The application was going around. But now for the round 1 of 2024, they have uploaded a new form. So whenever they upload a new form, new CREST form, it means the previous one will be invalid. So if you're applying for the round 1 in 2024, August 2024, round 1 would be that will open in the November time. You need to get the CREST 2024 ready. Another important question people get confused very easily about is that who can sign the CREST form? And I've seen IMGs making mistakes on the form. They are not correctly signed. They are submitted, and then the recruitment team send them back the form asking them to re-sign it, resubmit it. Now, it is important to understand that who can actually sign it. This is explained very well on the very first page of CREST form that who can sign it, but people still get confused. People ask questions like, does it need to be a consultant? Does it need to be a UK-based consultant? Can the consultant back home sign it? Can a registrar, a senior registrar, somebody working above me, can they sign it or not? So according to the guidelines which they have given, and it's very clear that it needs to be a consultant, and a consultant who knows you for at least 3 months, equivalent for as a full time. So you should have worked with that consultant for 3 months full time equivalent, which means if you are part time only doing 50%, for example, then the time will become 6 months. But if you are a full time doctor, you have should have worked for the consultant for at least 3 months, and then that 3 months needs to be in the last 3.5 years. So for example, if you have worked with a consultant like 4 years ago, that will not be applicable. So those 3 months should be in last 3.5 years. And now the important question: can the CREST form be signed by a UK consultant, or can it also be signed by a non-UK consultant? So now this is an important part. Now CREST form can be signed from back home, from your home country. It can be signed by the consultant who you have worked back home, or if you're yet not in UK and you are still abroad, you're working in a job where you have a consultant, they can sign it if they're working abroad. So, for example, if you're working in India or Pakistan, your consultant can sign it. But if you are working in UK, it has to be a consultant who will sign the form. But now there is a special arrangement or a special clause here, which means that the consultant in UK needs to be on the specialist register of the General Medical Council. Now, this is a very important thing to note. Not all consultants in UK will be on the specialist register of GMC. Some consultants are working in locum capacity or short-term capacity. A locum consultant may be on a specialist register or not. So it is your responsibility to check the consultant is on specialist register or not, because if they're not, the form will be sent back to you. Now, talking about the consultant abroad, that is a different issue. They don't need to have GMC registration. So if you're a consultant working in India or Pakistan, they don't need to be on the GMC registration. A lot of people contact me and say, well, actually, my consultant is saying that he has worked in UK, has got GMC registration, so maybe he can sign a CREST form, and then we'll put the GMC registration number there. But the form will still be sent back to them because they will not be on the specialist register. So if the consultant is working abroad, no need to put their GMC registration number. They need the registration number and evidence of registration from your local body. So let me explain this again. A lot of people say to me that, I understand that my consultant need to be on the specialist register of the GMC, but I don't know how to check that. I'm not sure. He's just working as he or she is a consultant, and I don't know if they are on it or not. So simply put their registration number if you know them, or if you put their name. This is my registration number. If I search on this, based on that, you can see this is my name, and then it clearly says this doctor is on specialist register. So it means that I'm one of the doctors who can actually sign the CREST form. If I work in UK, I've got GMC registration, and I'm also on the specialist register. I don't need to submit any additional documents for that. I can just put my GMC registration number. The recruitment team can basically check if I'm on a specialist register or not. If I am, then they will be satisfied with that. If you submit it with a doctor who is not on specialist register, the form will come back to you. They'll contact you and say that you need to sign it and get it signed by somebody else. So here, this is GP register. I'm not a GP, but if somebody is a GP, they would be on GP register. It will be mentioned here. And they are also somebody who can actually sign your form, just to be mindful of that. So let me take you through the CREST form and some of the things which are important when you're filling the CREST form, and I'll show you the form and some of the common mistakes people do on the forms. So first thing to do is, when you go on internet and search for the CREST form, it should bring you to this particular website, and you will see the CREST form, which is here. And you will also see something called CREST reference version as well, which is that they have given you an example of a form, how to fill and how to fill certain section. I'll show that to you. Then there's a CREST checklist as well. So if you want to check the form is filled correctly, they have given you some pointers there as well. Now, the first thing to notice is this statement on the website, which is especially for the general practice. And a lot of people have asked, that what is the deadline for the CREST form? And they have very clearly says that here that at present, applicants of general practice get an extension to allow them extra time for completion of the CREST form. And this extended time is not available to other specialties. And then they're very clearly saying that this extended deadline will be removed from the 2024 recruitment rounds. So if you are going for the round one, which is the August of 2024, this extended deadline to submit the CREST form would be removed, which means by the time you're submitting your application for the GP training, you need to have the CREST form ready, and this is applicable to the other specialties as well. This is important to note because in the past, people have been getting extensions, especially for the general practice. So they may be expecting that in 2024, they will also get the extension. So this was the first thing to notice. Now, if we come to the CREST form and if we click on the CREST reference version, it will open this reference version, which is basically the CREST form which they have filled in certain sections and explain to you what will go in certain sections of the form. Again, important to remember that the CREST reference version is not the real CREST form. The real CREST form would be in a Word format, and this PDF document is actually just an example. Now, let us open a CREST form now. And then you will find the CREST form here, which is in the 2024 in the Word document version. So when you open the Word document for the CREST form, and this will open, this is a CREST 2024 version. So when I'm taking you through this, I like to put a disclaimer that I'm actually not involved directly with the recruitment team, and I'm not involved in making this form. I am a consultant who has filled these forms in the past, so I'm sharing my experience of what has been useful and what sort of mistakes I've found when the IMGs are filling those forms. Sometimes the IMGs contact me and say to me that the recruitment team had contacted them saying that their CREST form is not accepted because they have made a certain mistake. So I'm just sharing my experience of what I have been told by IMGs, and when I have submitted my forms for my junior doctors, they have been accepted, and what were the guidelines I was following. So the instructions to the applicants are fairly simple and they're very well explained on this first page. And I would recommend all IMGs who are filling this CREST form to actually read this first page very carefully. Number one thing is the question which we have asked at the start, that who can sign the CREST form. So this is very clearly saying this certificate can only be signed by a consultant or equivalent for the purpose of documentation. Consultant include general practitioners as well. So the GPs will also be family physicians, and they are also consultant level. Then clinical director, and then some other terms they've used, academic seniors. And locum consultants can also sign, but the person who is signing, if they're working in the UK, just having GMC registration for them is not enough. They need to have either CCT or CSER, which means they need to be on the specialist register of the GMC. And as I said, a lot of IMGs, they've contact me and say that, they have got the CREST form by the consultant. They don't know if the consultant is on GMC register or not. So it is very simple to check. You can just go on GMC website, GMC register, and check their consultant GMC number or their name, and you will find out if they are on specialist register or not. If they are not on specialist register, your form will not be accepted, and then the recruitment team will email back to you saying that this was not accepted. Now, the second part is another criteria which is important. Then the consultant who are signing this form has worked with you for a minimum of continuous period of 3 months. Whole time equivalent, which means by whole time equivalent means that you were working full time with that particular consultant. If you're working part time, so for example, if you're working 50%, then the whole time equivalent will become like 6 months, because you're only working 50%. That 3 months will become 6 months. But if you're working full time, there needs to be 3 months, and that 3 months should be within the last 3.5 years to the advertised post start date when you're applying. So if you're applying, now we take an example here for the August 2024. So you can count back the years and the months from that point. And if you have worked with a consultant in the last 3.5 years, 3.5 years, and it was for 3 months and more, that consultant will be eligible to actually sign your CREST form. And then further information is available from the foundation competencies applicant guides, so I always advise people to read that and when you're submitting the form to make sure that doing it correctly. Now, this third point is important, especially for the international medical graduates, and this is relevant for the consultant if the consultant is not present in UK and if you're getting the CREST form signed from abroad. So it is from a consultant you have worked abroad with. It's very clearly say if your signatory is registered with any medical authority other than GMC, they should also make sure they submit current evidence of their registration with the authority. A certificate translation if their registration is not in English. So this is, say, for example, if a consultant signing is from Pakistan, the CREST form, and they are registered with the PMDC, they need to submit they need to give you the copy of their PMDC registration, which you can submit with the form as a single document. So it can confirm your consultant's registration status in their home country. If the consultant is on CCD and CSER and they're already in UK, just giving their GMC number would be enough because the recruitment team can actually check themselves their consultant's GMC registration status. Now, again, another important point here is historical registration with GMC will not be accepted. Now, I've seen people saying that I've got my CREST form signed by a doctor who has FRCS or who has MRCS, who had worked in UK in the past. They may be historically registered with the GMC. That will not be accepted according to the recruitment guidelines. For that, you need to, obviously that doctor need to submit the regulatory home country registration rather than the evidence of their past GMC registration. So this is an important thing to note. And point number 4, although it is very clear that the person who's signing the consultant should not be in which should not be in a close personal relationship. Like, for example, if you are a doctor and your father is a doctor as well, your father can't sign it for you, although your father may be a very senior clinician, but the person signing it shouldn't be in a close personal relationship. Now, the rest of the rest of these points are quite self-explanatory. It's basically saying that the competencies which are ticked are according to the foundation competency level, and the certificate must be completed in all the sections. And if you leave some sections empty, the form will not be accepted. And then they also talk about, a lot of people ask that, do we need to actually print this form and then get it signed, or can it be signed electronically? I think it's good to actually get it signed by after printing it. But they have also given the point number 8 is about if your consultant want to sign it electronically, what do they need to do? Now, the point number 11 is something which we already talked about, that only 2024 version will be accepted for the August 2024 recruitment round, which is round 1, and previous forms will not be accepted. If you have got a previous form signed, you can give the new form to that consultant, because this new form is actually, the previous version was CREST 2021, is actually more simpler. So if you got that signed from a consultant, you can give them this version. This will be actually more simpler. Then point number 10 is also important, because it needs to be scanned and uploaded as a one single document. Sometimes people get confused about how to upload that, but this is very simple. When you are submitting your application form, you need to submit it with that. Now, if we come to the CREST form itself and explain some of the things which are there and where the IMGs are making mistakes. So the initial part is very simple. The applicant's name, which is the candidate, applicant's GMC number, the candidate who is applying for training, their GMC number. And then here they are asking for a little history of your job roles. So if you're working in a non-training job, for example, if you're working in a clinical fellow, you can put it here. the name of the trust when you started the post. If you are not ending the post, you are already working on the post, you can put then, that to date to say that, you are still working on that post and it's not finished yet. And then you can put some previous post as well. This is important, especially if you are getting evidence from a previous post, and especially if the form is signed by a consultant who is not currently with you, those posts needs to be there. So the recruitment team can see where were you working around the time where you were claiming that you have the evidence from. It's basically simply, things you can copy paste from your CV about your job history. And then the next one is just the applicants that they are confirming about certain things which are very self-explanatory, and then signing. Now it comes to this part, which is where some IMGs are making mistake, which are the sections which your consultant need to tick. And this is where some people make mistakes. So there are about 13 competencies, and you can say they are very simple competencies which they've been expected to fulfill at foundation year 2 level. Now, important thing to notice here, there are 3 different boxes here. Green one is personally witnessed. So if I am ticking that, I am confirming that I have personally witnessed this particular doctor myself doing this competency. If I haven't personally witnessed, if I receive evidence that the doctor has achieved that competency, then I can click on this yellow box, tick on this yellow box. And if I am unable to confirm, if I don't either I haven't personally witnessed it, and I also don't have evidence, and if I can tick on the unable to confirm, the red box. Now, it is important to understand, for a CREST to be valid, the consultant who is confirming, you need these 2 boxes. If they have clicked on unable to confirm, then it will not be accepted. So even out of all these 13 competencies, even one of that is unable to confirm, then the form would be rejected. So if you are clicking, you don't need to click both of them. You just need to either the consultant has personally witnessed a competency, or they have received the evidence. And we'll come to that who can actually give the evidence. It could be a senior registrar, somebody ST5 and above. It could be another consultant in the department. It could be a consultant from your previous post. So evidence can come from different sources. Now, these competencies themselves, I must say that they have been simplified, and the previous CREST form used to have much more of them. The previous CREST form were a bit more complex. Now, these ones, this one is relatively simple. So we're talking about here, as an example, 1.1, the candidate junior doctor's ability to assess patient needs in a variety of clinical settings, including acute, non-acute, and community. So have I personally witnessed that doctor working in an acute setting, maybe an on-call or an acute ward, and a non-acute setting, and also community, which may be outpatient department, or in psychiatry, we have community mental health teams as well. So, by confirming this, if I personally witness, if the doctor has been working with me and is part of their current post where I have witnessed that myself, then I can click that. If I receive evidence of them achieving this competency, then I can tick on the yellow box. Now, some of the other competencies are very much simplified. Like, for example, holistic planning and the candidate's ability to diagnose and formulate treatment plan with appropriate supervision that include ethical consideration, physical, psychological, and social needs of the patient. Communication skills and care, they can give clear explanation to the patient and their carers. Then same in the continuity of the care as well, that they contribute to safe and ongoing care, both and in and out of hours. By the term out of hours basically is term for on calls. So as an example here, if the consultant have not directly seen you doing on calls, or the current job does not involve on calls, you can get evidence from a previous post or a previous consultant or a registrar that you have done on calls, and you were a safe doctor and you were capable to manage those on calls. And then depending on if the consultant has personally witnessed, they can tick the green box. If they have received evidence, they can tick the yellow box. Now here comes another part which causes a lot of confusion among IMGs, quality improvement. Now, quality improvement is associated with audits and quality improvement activities, which leads to improvement of a service or a care. Now, they're not saying that you should have done an audit. They haven't said that. They're saying that you have taken part, active part, and in the process to improve quality of the care. So this is a very simple and generic statement. And if the consultant has witnessed you doing that, they can tick on the green box. If they have received evidence, they can tick on the yellow box. So if you have done an audit, this is something that you can show to your consultant. If the audit was done under the supervision, then it's very clear they can tick the green box. If, for example, the audit was done in a previous post, they can then tick that they have seen the evidence of that. It's not, they're not specifically asking for audit. It can be taking an active part in the process of quality improvement, which has a much wider understanding. Now, another option here to teach and to do presentation. Sometimes the IMGs get confused saying that, I'm working on a place where I don't have access to medical students and I don't know who to teach. Teaching can be done. You don't need to have medical student. Teaching can be done on the nursing students or the nurses or other wider MDT. So now if your consultant has actually seen you actively engaging with the medical students, they can say personally witnessed. If they have received evidence of your ability to teach, they can tick on the evidence received. Likewise, some of the other competencies are quite generic, and things which we will expect from doctors anyway. And this is where we are assessing them against the quality of foundation year 2 doctor. Now, important point to understand which the IMGs make mistake on, that you can see this is the page. Every page will have at the end that the verifying consultant needs to sign. So if they don't sign on all these pages, the form will not be accepted. So verifying consultant sign here, put the applicant's name, date of completion again for the same, and the next area they need to sign and put the applicant's name and date of completion. So consultant need multiple signature on this form, not just one. And the next one is actually the declaration from the consultant. And then say, for example, if I am signing this form for my junior doctor, I'll put my name here. My professional status would be consultant psychiatrist. Current post would be consultant psychiatrist working in old age psychiatry. And this is important. This is very important. The dates I have supervised the junior doctor from for certain days. Say, for example, from February to August of 2023. Now, this is important because this will tell them that if I have actually supervised this junior doctor for continuous 3 months, because this is a criteria, and these 3 months were in the last 3.5 years. Address of correspondence would be my hospital address, my email address, my work email address I can put here. Now, again, people get confused saying that, my consultant is abroad and they don't have work email address. They can put their personal email address if they don't have the work email address. I have a GMC number, so I will put my GMC number here, and against my GMC number, the recruitment team who are assessing the CREST form can easily check if I am on the specialist register of the GMC, which makes me the right consultant to sign this form. Now, this next portion is important, and this is for the international medical graduates who are getting the form signed from back home. And very clearly saying, if you are not registered within the UK, this is for your consultant, please give the name of your registering body. So say, for example, this is from Pakistan, this would be PMDC. If it's from India, the Indian regulatory authorities, their name can come here. The GMs, then now they're asking for the registration number. Now this is obviously the doctor does not have GMC registration number, but they will put, if they're from Pakistan, their PMDC number. And this is not just enough, just putting the name of regulatory body number, but they are saying that you need to give the evidence of photocopy of your current registration to that particular authority. So it basically, if it's coming from Pakistan, they need the PMDC certificate of registration, evidence of registration with PMDC of your consultant. So if it's from within UK, again, as I said, as the UK consultant does not need to submit their GMC certificate, because GMC register is open, and the recruitment team can just by giving my number, they can go and check on the register themselves. But if it's coming from outside UK, they need the photocopy of the registration of your consultant. And if it's not in English, they need the English translation. Now, this declaration is for the consultant, and they are just confirming that they have seen the foundation website and confirm that, the competencies which they have ticked and confirm are in accordance with the foundation program. And then that, they're confirming that, the doctor has actually worked with them a minimum of 3 months, whole time equivalent in the past 3.5 years. And then they are also confirming that doctor is demonstrating the listed competencies, which either I have observed myself or I've got evidence from. So now this part of the form, they're saying that who can get evidence. It says satisfactory evidence can come from ST5. ST5 is a grade, 5th year doctorate training in doctorate training or above, which is basically a senior registrar. And by above mean, it could be another consultant as well. So it doesn't need to be a registrar. If it's another consultant who, sometimes you're working in department, we're working with multiple consultants. So only one consultant will actually sign this form, but the other consultants or the registrar can give evidence. So now this is an important area. After putting the applicant's name and date of completion, they're also asking for a hospital stamp. And hospital stamps are not difficult to find within the NHS. If you're working in an NHS hospital, you can ask for help from the admin staff, and they can find you the stamp. If you're on a ward clerk, the ward clerk may have it, the consultant secretary may have it, so you can easily get the stamp done. But sometimes IMGs get worried about this, and they leave this empty, because saying that, my hospital abroad where I'm getting this form signed, they don't have stamps, my consultant doesn't have stamp, and I don't know what to do. Hospital stamp generally include the name of the hospital and address of the hospital. So they have given you another option, that if the hospital stamp is not available, they need a signed complimentary slip which gives the name of the hospital and the address. A complimentary slip is basically similar to if the hospital has got a headed notepad, headed paper. If your consultant has got a notepad with the name and all that, address of the hospital and all those things on it, that would be useful. That is something you can submit, and hopefully that will be accepted. But if there's a hospital stamp, please do make sure that you stamp this, otherwise the form will form might not be accepted. Now this is the last part of the last page of the CREST form, and here they're talking about the list of people who have given evidence when the consultant was signing the form. So again, simply speaking, if your consultant has personally witnessed all the competencies and has ticked all the green boxes, then they don't need to put any names here. This is not then relevant, because they have personally witnessed all the competency and they're confirming that. But if they're saying that the competency, they've only witnessed certain competency, and some of the competency they're using evidence from other people, ST5 above senior registrars or other consultants, then they need to put the names of the consultants and name of those registrars here. So let's say, for example, if the consultant has seen everything, but they have not seen you taking part in quality improvement activity or the process, or for example, they have not seen you teaching, but you have given an evidence that another consultant has observed it, another registrar is happy to give evidence that they are satisfied with your ability to teach and all that. So now the consultant, if they have said evidence received, so for example, 2.5 is to teaching, and they have clicked on the yellow box here. So this 2.5, they can put over here section or the capabilities witness 2.5 here, the name of the registrar or the other consultant, their professional status, or the registrar or the consultant, whatever, their work address, the email address, and then dates they have supervised the applicant. So the date under which you have worked under that particular individual. So, this can be used from evidence to bring the evidence from back home. So, for example, if you are working in UK and you say that you have achieved certain competencies within UK, but some of the competencies are actually from back home, and if your consultant is happy to receive that evidence and is satisfied with that evidence, they can use that evidence and put the name of the consultant who's confirming for that evidence, their professional status, their work address, their email address, and the date this particular consultant here or the registrar has supervised you from and to. So by doing that, this form will be completed. So people sometimes make mistake. Their consultant may have clicked on a yellow box here, but not giving the name of who's actually given them evidence. In that way, the form will be incomplete and may not be accepted. So it is important to understand all the different sections of this form. So if the consultant is filling this form, that then the verifying consultant needs to again put their signature here, the application name and date of completion. I would say if I'm signing this form for my junior doctor, if I've observed all the sections myself, I will still sign this section just to make sure that the form is completed and is not getting refused. Just to make sure that all the pages of the form are actually completed. So I hope this was useful, and I hope I have highlighted some of the areas where the IMGs are making mistake. I will say again that this is from my experience, and I'm not actually part of the recruitment team. So, if you are confused about any aspect of it, please do contact the recruitment team, and there will be more guidelines available online about the CREST form from the official website. Please do read them. Sometimes people have used some blogs and written blogs and their own experience of filling the CREST form. Again, that is not official, and that might be relevant to a previous version of this form. So when you want to read the guidelines on the current form, it's always good to refer to the original website of the recruitment where this form is getting uploaded. So thank you very much. So thank you very much for listening to me. I hope this was useful. I've tried to cover some of the common mistakes and some of the common questions which the IMGs normally ask. Just as a summary, CREST form is for CT1 and ST1 level if you haven't done foundation training, or FY2 standalone from within UK. And the CREST form can be signed from within UK and can be signed from abroad as well. If your consultant is fulfilling the criteria in that sense, that they have worked with you in the last 3.5 years, then they can actually sign this form. If the consultant is in UK, they need to be on the GMC specialist register. If they are from abroad, then they need to be registered with the relevant medical authority, and you need to submit a certificate of their registration alongside your CREST form. Now, CREST 2024 is the latest version, and CREST 2024 is a very simplified form, simplified version. In the past, this used to be much more complicated. So I hope you will be able to get this signed relatively easily, and that will help you to apply for the training post. Best of luck for your training post and the application. Thank you.